Welcome to another one of my episodes of Magic Cards turned into civilization concepts. I am Loki the Gamer, the creator of all of these homemade cards, and I hope that they entertain you as much as they've given me pain and aggravation to create. Just kidding, it was fun. Let's take a look at the Ottoman Empire today. This is a pack of 6 cards that left me a little cold. I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe it's the fact that it was, I believe, the last one that I designed. But I refuse to believe that. I don't want to think that because it was the last one, I was running out of energy and creativity and therefore didn't come up with anything good. No, it's not true. There must have been some other reason. Not to mention, I must be too hard on myself. I think that they are really fun cards, great cards, as good as any others. I think that there's just one version of Suleiman that just didn't allow me to go anywhere with him. You'll see there's one that is fairly bland. And maybe that is tainting my objectivity here. So let's take a look at what the Ottoman Empire will have. It will have 1 legendary land, 2 leaders, and 3 unique builds. One of which is weird, different. It's not really a build. It's something different altogether, and if you're a fan of these videos, if you're a regular follower, you've been expecting something funny to be going on with the Ottoman, and that is definitely the most exciting part of this package. If, as a whole, it left me a little meh, that one card, on the other hand, is so cool. So the Ottoman Empire tells us that we will be talking about bombard units. Well, yes, but at the same time, not really. I simply translated bombard units to artifact creatures. That's it. I was looking forward to that. Oh, I'm gonna make this entire civilization focus on bombardments, but I realized, no, that's right, they don't even have a unique bombard. It's just that they get production bonuses, production discounts towards bombards, and that's it. I simply just transformed that into artifact creatures. I could have been even more specific, artifact creatures constructs, but no, just artifact creatures. So yeah, they get a production bonus, so production equals ramp, discount in this case, towards artifact creatures. That's it, not very exciting. There will be the concept of loyalty bonuses that can translate to ward, or even better, hexproof. I chose hexproof in order to give the Ottoman a little bit of a boost, something that is, better than ward. Ward, you can just pay to target. With hexproof, you can't, no matter how much you pay. So, a little better for the Ottoman here. There will be the concept of golden ages. Yes, there's a handful of Civ, no, not even a handful, like 3, that actually care about golden ages. And I treated the concept of golden ages differently each time. In the case of the Ottoman, it's having drawn a certain amount of cards. If you've drawn just your regular amount of cards per turn, so 1, you're not in a golden age. If you've drawn extra cards, you're considered to be in a golden age. So that's how I chose to interpret that. And there will be the concept of some military boosts. I've turned that into an anthem, a static bonus for all. Seems reasonable, like usual. Nothing special there. And there will be the concept of pillaging. There is a unit in the Ottoman arsenal that allows for some pillaging, and I've turned that into stun counters. So yeah, you stun a land, you make it untappable for 1 turn, and in return you get some goodies. So you travel literally to your opponent's lands, you have pillaged them, you've rendered them essentially unusable, and then you come back with some booty. The color identity of the Ottoman, I struggled with that, but I figured since they do have a pillaging ship, it should have some blue. They are a very naval-oriented people, and some red to represent their passion and their aggressivity, potential violence. All of those bombards attacking cities, the classic Ottoman cannons lay waste to opponents' walls, so it felt that red was also appropriate for them. Now, the land of the Ottoman has an ability called the Great Turkish Bombard in Civilization 6, so that is the one that simply gives you a 50% production bonus towards siege units. That's it, you don't get a unique bombardment unit, and the best way I could figure out to translate these bombards into magic terms is artifact creatures, so you'll see a little discount on artifact creatures. And siege units also get extra combat strength against district defenses. Conquered cities do not lose population, so they are good at keeping people alive. When they invade a city, they don't sack and pillage and just gut everyone in the street for pleasure. They keep people alive. And cities not founded by the Ottoman gain extra amenity and extra loyalty, so there's the loyalty bonus. I've turned this into the dual modal-faced card of the Ottoman Empire and Constantinople. Like usual, well, it's not a rigorous tradition, but when there are two leaders, even though it's really the same leader with two different personas of the same leader, when there are two leaders, I usually tend to pick the graphics of both leaders and make them into two separate cards, or at the very least, two faces of the same land. And both graphics of the two Suleimans here is no exceptions, so you've got the Ottoman Empire legendary land mythic that says Great Turkish Bombard, tap, artifact creature spells you cast cost 2 less to cast this turn. So it's not a static ability, you need to actually activate that, so if you do that you can't count on the colorless that this land would otherwise given you, but you get a rebate of 2 and it lasts all turns. So yes, you can easily turn that into a real good profit if you make your deck artifact creature intensive, so quite amazing, but also very narrow-minded, very limited in scope. On the other side, we finally get some color there. Constantinople taps for some red. And here we represent the concept of attacking district defenses. So normally when you are attacking a city, or at the very least a district, you are attacking one target at a time. It's hard enough conquering something in Civ 6 that you don't want to fight on two fronts. So you are usually focusing on one single target with all of your bombards and archers and catapults and all of that, until it's yours. So you normally don't fight on two fronts, you focus on one single target. And to represent the act of attacking one district intensively, I created this land that says whenever a source you control deals non-combat damage to a single target, it deals that much damage +1. So it assumes that that single target you're attacking is a district. It treats that single target like a city you're attacking, like a district, and therefore it grants you the bonus that the Ottoman do get when they attacked districts. And just like the last ability says, you get to tap Constantinople to put a hexproof counter on target land. So normally Constantinople does that only with cities not founded by the Ottomans. So basically a city that you've conquered gets extra loyalty, but in this case, now just any land you want will get a hexproof counter. So you get to add loyalty, you get to protect your land no matter which one, thanks to this ability. Or simply tap for red. And that's how I worked all of these Ottoman abilities into a dual-faced land. Let's take a look at that one version of Suleiman, the original one, that was really kind of meh, there's not a whole lot there. So the Suleiman known as a lawgiver says simply this: the Grand Vizier ability says that he gets his exclusive governor, Ibrahim, and that he gets a special unit just for him, the Janissary. Oh, and also, yes, one bonus governor title at one point in the game. So that's it. That Suleiman doesn't actually do anything. He just has access to unique things, but that's it. So I had to work that into his card and leave it otherwise fairly meh. So there is the Suleiman the Lawgiver. It too is a modal card because I ran out of room. I needed to create 2 leaders, a land, 3 unique builds, so 1 unique unit for the Ottoman, 1 unique infrastructure, and then this special Janissary that Suleiman has access to. And let's not forget Ibrahim himself. I made Ibrahim into a card, so that was too many things. So therefore, to rectify that, I put the Janissary on the flip side of the Suleiman card. I had to do the same thing for Victoria's unique unit. One of the versions of Victoria has access to the red coat, And since I ran out of room in this English pack also, same problem, I simply put the red coat on the flip side of a modal Victoria. So there you go, Suleiman the Lawgiver. The card itself is really kind of bland, but he's got his unique Janissary on the other side, so it gives a little bit of flexibility. If he's your commander, then sure, cast the Janissary, then later let the Janissary die and cast Suleiman, or cast Suleiman right away. You've got some choices to make. So there's Suleiman the Lawgiver. 1 red, 1 blue, 2 generic. You've got an uncommon Human Noble Warrior, 5/2, so interesting lopsided stats. And his Grand Vizier simply says, search your library for a card named Ibrahim the Grand Vizier, put it on the battlefield, then shuffle. And that's it. And his Janissary, how does he have it? Well, by having it on the other side of the card. So there's no need to tutor for the Janissary, it's right there. So really, that's it. That's all Suleiman has. So I couldn't leave it like that. I had to give him a little bit extra. And I realized that the Ibrahim card is quite awesome. I can't wait to show you. But it needs a little bit of help. Yes, here's the spoiler. Ibrahim is a planeswalker. I decided to turn all the governors into planeswalkers. Ibrahim right now is the only one in existence because I had to create it to give it to Suleiman. It's his unique thing. All the other ones, all the basic ones, do not exist, but in a future project, if I can count on your support, on your likes, your subscription, on your patronage on Patreon, then I will make a new set of these homemade cards. If you love Civ 6, if you love Magic, support me any way you can, and I will make the World Wonders into legendary artifacts, I will make the city-states into legendary lands, and I will make the governors into planeswalkers. So, very exciting, and because I made Ibrahim quite good, I cheated a little bit. I made him better than he really should have been. But yeah, I made him the basis, the entire backbone of this Ottoman set. I decided that Suleiman should help out his buddy. So if you pay 2 red, you get to put a loyalty counter on target planeswalker you control. So it doesn't have to be Ibrahim, obviously. It might as well be because you get to tutor for him and slap him right on the battlefield. But you can make your Suleiman commander into the leader of a Super Friends deck, potentially. Yeah, you're limited to only 2 colors, but still, there's a whole lot of blue and red planeswalkers you can use, and for 2 red, you get to help them out a bit. Now, that's expensive, and you want to theoretically load your deck with more red than blue, so have mostly red, a little sprinkle of blue, just enough to cast Suleiman, and you want to use your loyalty ability as much as possible to trigger the ultimate of your planeswalkers, especially of Ibrahim, because his... well, you'll see. And now let's take a look at his Janissary, his unique unit. It is a melee unit in Civ 6 that costs you a population. When you build a Janissary in a city, your city loses a population, unless it's a city not founded by you, by the Ottoman. So if you capture a city, that city is best for building Janissaries, you won't lose a pop. But I didn't really use that on the card. You lose a pop no matter what, so there's no concept of if you've stolen a creature or if you've done something that is akin to capturing a city. No, other civilizations like the Mapuche could easily handle something like that. I worked into the Mapuche the concept of stealing cities or units and things like that, but no, the Ottoman didn't really have that going for them, so I just said, okay, you lose a population whenever you cast that Janissary, no matter what. And also, the Janissary gets your free promotion, so I love when that happens. I get to give, upon ETB, a choice of different goodies to pick from, so I had fun choosing appropriate powers that represented the potential promotions. The Janissary, therefore, only costs 1 for a 2/2, but if you scroll down to the bottom of the card, it says, when this creature enters, sacrifice a creature. So yes, it's a high cost, but when it enters, choose your promotion, choose one. Either it deals 1 damage to any target, so a little ping that could make a big difference early on, I don't know. Or put your choice of a Reach, Vigilance, Menace, or +1/+1 counter on target creature. So it doesn't even have to get the reward itself, it could give the promotion to someone else. I decided to be a little crazy with that thing. The Janissary trained someone else. They don't necessarily train themselves. Why not? Now, the only thing missing from that creature is the ability to somehow kill itself, to have an auto-sack outlet, because this is on the flip side of your potential commander here. You might want to cast this on turn 1. Wait, no, not on turn 1. Then you don't have a sacrifice for it yet, but basically you can cast it as soon as possible, as soon as you do have a sacrifice, and then you probably grow tired of it. After you've used it for some early damage, you want your commander, so you don't have a convenient way of sacrificing them, of allowing them to die. Sure, yes, you can always just chump block, but sometimes even that is not possible. Your opponent is doing something else, the opportunity is not there, you're being attacked by flying creatures, you name it. So yes, it would have been nice to have a built-in sack outlet for itself, but when you think about it, you can cast it on turn 1. Cast it on turn 1, do 1 damage to any target, so choose the first promotion, and then sacrifice itself. So you totally can have a built-in sacrifice outlet, and the purpose of doing that is to ping your opponent's, I don't know, mana dork, and allow to level the playing field by killing an annoying little 1 toughness creature. So yeah, totally, that is a workable strategy. So he does have kind of a built-in auto-sack outlet. Let's move on to the other Suleiman. So we had to pause to do Suleiman Lawgiver's Janissary creature, but now let's go to the other Suleiman. That's the only card, other than Ibrahim, from the set that I think is really exciting, is really well built, and it treats a cool concept in an interesting and realistic way. He deals with golden ages, as we talked about. His ability is called the Magnificent. It says extra science and culture when in a golden age, and +4 combat strength when not in a golden age, and against civilizations who are also not in a golden age. So I worked all that in to 1 neat card, and don't forget, I treated the concept of a golden age, as far as this guy is concerned, as if you've drawn only 1 card this turn, if you've drawn your normal basic amount of cards, you're not in the golden age. If you've drawn extra cards, you are in the golden age. Same thing for your opponent, because this guy does care about whether your opponent is in a golden age or not. So for only 2 mana, so a nice little quick commander potentially, he is a 3/2, nice stats for only 2 cost. Human Noble Advisor, he is a rare card, and when you draw your second card each turn, draw a card. So there you go, when you draw your second card each turn, that means you've just entered the golden age. You deserve a reward. You deserve what kind of reward? Science. Science is, of course, card draw. You're supposed to get a culture reward as well, but I figured that giving an extra card draw was big enough a reward, so I sort of eschewed, is that how you say that? Eschewed? The culture bonus. So no culture bonus for you, you get a card, that's good enough. And then the concept of not being in a golden age and your opponent not being in one either is in his other ability. If you've drawn exactly 1 card this turn, attacking creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. If they're attacking an opponent that drew 0 or 1 card this turn, or a planeswalker they control. So there you go. So you're not in a golden age because you've drawn exactly 1 card. You attack someone who is not in a golden age either because they've drawn the normal amount of cards, which, if it's your turn, the normal amount of cards is 0. But even if they have done some card draw during your turn, if they have done only 1, then I still consider that as not being in a golden age. So you would get your bonus. And your bonus is +1/+1 for all creatures you control, all attacking creatures, including Suleiman himself, so not bad at all. It could have been better, but the idea here, of course, the strategy here is to start your turn, so untap, upkeep, draw exactly 1 card, and then do whatever you want, but basically move to your attack phase quickly. You've drawn only 1 card, you're not in a golden age, you attack, you get your bonus, attack goes well, hopefully, and after your attack is done, then you do something, anything, to draw a card, and you are now in a golden age and you get your extra card draw. So you do your golden age trigger after combat, so that way you get to have both in the same turn. Potentially every single turn you get to have your cake and eat it too. You've got to have your non-golden age and your Golden Age bonus. So there you go. That's how you would conceivably use a guy like that. Now, how do you want to trigger your second card draw of the turn? That is entirely up to you. That's why he's got blue. That's not my problem. You just use everything that you have at your disposal in blue to make that happen. I shouldn't have to take your hand to do that. It's blue we're talking about here, so load your deck with extra card draw effects that trigger whenever, or that just say draw cards. It's blue, so again, you don't need my help. Of course, I might have created a self-synergetic ability, a way that Suleiman could have drawn you some cards, so a way to trigger his Golden Age. So by doing this or that, you draw a card, and therefore, boom, that is conceivably your second of the turn. You trigger your own Golden Age ability, but for a 2-drop, I didn't think he needed that much self-synergy. I wanted to keep him simpler, quicker to cast, and therefore you need to rely on other things to really take advantage of his abilities. The Barbary Corsair is the Ottoman unique unit. It's a ship that can coastal raid. Well, okay, a lot of ships can coastal raid, but this one uses up only one movement, so it's easier. You're not a sitting duck after you've just coastal raided, much like the Malon Raider of the Mapuche. So I gave that vehicle, of course it's a vehicle, an ability to pillage, so drop some stun counters on your opponent's lands and get a loot out of it. And because it's a ship that has a range attack, I also rolled into the same ability a little pinging damage. So let's take a look at the Barbary Corsair ship. It is a blue-red, very cheap ship that has 3-1 for its stats, haste, flash, pay 1 and tap it. This vehicle deals 1 damage to any target, so there's your little ping to represent the fact that it's got a range attack. I chose to do that instead of giving it reach like most archer or range attack units out there. I felt that my set, that this whole project needed a little bit more pinging, a little bit more direct damage. So there you go. So to represent the range attack, I gave it some ping and then rolled into the same ability. Put a stun counter on target land an opponent controls. If you do, create a treasure token. And you only get to activate this ability if this vehicle is a creature. Because all that by itself, if it were an inert artifact that had access to all of that for a 2-mana drop and a 1-mana use, that would be a little too strong. But instead, I made it a vehicle with weak-ish stats, so 3-1, easy to actually take out if you either target it or if it blocks or attacks, so 1 toughness, not very strong, but the point is you don't need to attack with it. You can just crew it and then use that awesome ability. And that's why I made the fact that it must be crewed, it must be turned into a creature, either by crewing it or any other neat tricks that were added in Aether Drift. You know, there's a bunch of ways nowadays to turn a vehicle into a creature without actually crewing it. So however you do it, you must turn it into a creature in order to use that cool, awesome ability. And that is why I made the crew very expensive, crew 4. So it's a little 2-drop, awesome card, but with an expensive crew and a mandatory crew most of all. It's the equivalent of an equipment that drops for very cheap, but has a very high equip cost. And as a little side note, a little curiosity, you'll notice that you don't have to target the same player. You can pillage the land of a player and then ping the creature that belongs to another player, so that's cute. Your ship really travels far and fast and has awesome range. Now let's take a look at the unique infrastructure of the Ottoman. It is the Grand Bazaar. It's an improved version of the bank, so of course it makes gold. Gold translates to treasures. And in Civ 6, it also grants amenities based on the luxury resources of this city. Luxury resources normally turn into this or that according to my equivalency chart here, but I chose to kind of ignore that chart in order to make sure that this card synergizes with the rest of the Ottoman set. So instead, here is a land aura. Like most improvements or buildings, it's a land aura for 4 mana, 1 blue and 3 generic and uncommon, and it says the enchanted land has tap the land, create a treasure token. So there's your gold. Then, if you control 3 or more treasures, so that's the luxury aspect of it, draw a card. So your reward is not a typical luxury bonus like Exalted or anything like that, but it's draw a card. So there shouldn't be anything scientific about the Grand Bazaar, but I made it scientific. I made it a card draw in order for this to synergize well with Suleiman, the one that cares about triggering a golden age, the one that cares about drawing cards. So a land like that, an aura like that on a land, could easily turn into your second draw of the turn and therefore trigger your golden age extra draw. If not that, then again countless other blue things that exist out there. But I wanted to make one more land aura because why not, and I wanted it to synergize with the Ottoman set. And that finally leaves us with the Governor Ibrahim Grand Vizier. So I did make it into a Planeswalker, indeed, and his 3 abilities, his +1, his -2, and his ultimate -8, they are all derived from different abilities in his promotion tree. And I made sure to use a tier 1 ability for the top ability, I use a tier 2 ability for the middle one, and of course a tier 3 ability for the last one. So we've got Head Falconeer, an ability that essentially gives military boost to your unit. So Ibrahim deals 1 damage to any target, and creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn. Very nice and simple. Then you've got Kas Oda Bashi, an ability which in Civ 6, when you put Ibrahim in an opponent's city, then you get some extra alliance points with that player. So it's a peaceful, it's a collaborative thing. And I decided to represent this alliance concept with a bit of a group hug effect. So it says, put an embassy counter on target clan an opponent controls, more on that later, and then you and that opponent each create a treasure token. So hooray, group hug. Now, the top ability, the Grand Vizier Tier 3 ability, is something that is normally defensive. In Civ 6, his Grand Vizier ability makes it so that your opponent's cities exert no loyalty pressures on your cities, so you are protected against their loyalty attacks. But in Magic terms, how boring is that? We want the ultimate of a Planeswalker to be something huge and nasty and game-changing, not just something defensive that says opponents cannot steal things from you. How boring is that? So instead, I flipped it on its head. Instead of a loyalty defense, I made it a loyalty attack. So the -8 Grand Vizier says, gain control of all creatures controlled by players who control a land with an embassy counter. So remember that group hug that you did with your -2? Yeah, so you gave your opponent a treasure, but you also put an embassy on their land, and if ever you're allowed to trigger your Grand Vizier, you get to steal all of their creatures because of your embassy. So there you go. So they either have to remove that counter from their land, they have to somehow maybe destroy or bounce their own land, they have to get rid of that embassy, else they risk losing all their creatures to you. And of course, before you triggered the Grand Vizier, it's ideal if you've put an embassy on every opponent's land. If you're able to put an embassy on one of your lands, then put an embassy on one of your lands, then an embassy on one of your lands. So basically, if you still have 3 opponents, if you play with a normal 4-player pod, then you should try to put an embassy on one of everyone's lands, and then do Grand Vizier and steal everyone's creature, and the game is yours. Of course, doing that is extremely costly. It takes time, it takes 3 whole turns of the Kas Oda Bashi, and it takes so many loyalty counters, and that's why you need Suleiman. So you need Suleiman to really pay 2 red and really beef up your Ibrahim if you're ever to accomplish that. So this is one Planeswalker that really has some good synergy between its step 2 and its step 3, but its step 1 that increases his loyalty doesn't really work. It doesn't synergize with the rest of the card. Normally, Planeswalkers like that, they are a no-no for me. I don't. For me, a Planeswalker deserves to be in my deck, deserves to be in any of my deck, whether it's a Super Fence deck or any deck, if the top ability synergizes with my deck. Just because the bottom one or even the middle one works pretty well, that's not good enough, because I know very well that a Planeswalker will very often not make it to his ultimate. So just because this one Planeswalker works so well in my deck, but only because of its ultimate or even its middle one, that's usually not good enough. I will not pick that Planeswalker in my deck unless I magically have an amazing way, a reliable way of defending it. So normally I rely on the top ability to help me choose which Planeswalkers, if any, to use in my decks. So this Ibrahim normally wouldn't make the cut, but the fact that he's got a buddy that helps him increase loyalty means that, yeah, it could work. So you could use your middle ability, decrease by 2, and then your Suleiman pays 4 red or more to help him build that loyalty back up, then it kind of works. And also, who knows, maybe the way you build your deck around that Suleiman is proliferate. Maybe you want to put a whole bunch of proliferates or similar ways of increasing your Ibrahim's loyalty. You can count on that Ibrahim, he will always be there because he's tied to your commander. So yeah, maybe there's ways that you want to focus on simply jacking up his loyalty and then stealing your opponent's creatures. Maybe you want to build the deck around stealing creatures a number of different ways also. This being blue, maybe you want to focus on that. As we said, your Suleiman costing so much red, maybe you want to focus on red spells instead. So I don't know, there's a bunch of different ways that you could approach a deck like that. At the end of the day, even though it's interesting, it's versatile, it still doesn't excite me a whole lot. It's still a set that makes me go, eh. But the other Suleiman, the one with the Golden Ages, that's a bit more exciting. Still not that much, but interesting. Truly, I think the Barbary Corsairs is perhaps the most interesting card in this whole set. I quite like that. I also like vehicles more than the average Joe, I think. So that is it for the Ottoman. So what do you think? Are you as disappointed with it as I am? I'm too hard on myself, I know, but still, it's quite interesting, and having built my first Planeswalker is a huge landmark. I do hope that I can count on your support, because honestly, I want to make all the other ones, all the other governors into Planeswalkers. My imagination is already spinning, maybe yours is too. Let me know what you think about this governor, and how should I approach the other ones if I do make them. What color should they be? Which abilities should I use? Maybe I'll try to squeeze in a 4th ability on one of them, because I just can't choose. I can't limit myself to only 3, so who knows how many abilities I'll give them each. If my application that I use to make these cards allows for more abilities, I might just do that. And who knows, I might even give them some static abilities. I might make 1 or 2 of them a potential commander. I might have the awesome line, "This guy can be your commander," so who knows. And in the meantime, let me know what you think about the Ottoman as a whole, and Loki the Gamer will talk to you later, and do make my dream a reality. Do give me support enough to make my wonders, my city-states, and my governors into more cards. Keep the dream alive and play one more turn.